Hi everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now let's talk My Hero Academia chapter 195. Wow, holy, we're 5 chapters away from 200. That's like 4 years of Hero Academia. Holy, wow. We've sure come a long way, huh? And in some ways, we're only just revisiting things that started in the sports festival. Hey, anyway, let's just talk about the chapter. So, overall, what has this chapter done? It's kind of established what we're going to be getting for at least the next 5 chapters. We're going to be having like, I want to call it like a mini tournament arc just because it looks like we're going to have a succession of fights going on. But whenever we have Class 1B getting involved, whenever we have the lower rungs of Class 1A getting involved, we have to start asking, are people going to get the adequate amount of screen time? And honestly, the odds, they never look good. The odds never look good whenever Class 1B is involved. The author can't juggle that many characters at once. He has to relegate some of them to the background. So one of the first things I really want to just get your guys' opinion on is, what do you guys think is going to happen with this structure of the Class 1A versus Class 1B fights? I'll give my ideas of what I think could happen and what I hope would happen. And of course, because of the copyright problems, there's not going to be any pictures on the screen. So let's just talk about it. Anyway, before we get into like the rest of the chapter, let's just quickly get this out of the way, talking about the structure for the 1A versus 1B fights. Now 4 of the 5 teams have one of the 6 main characters present in it, and when I say 6 main characters, I mean the characters that the author is pushing forward. And in those cases, we have Izuku, Todoroki, Bakugo, Ida, Ochako, and Tsuyu. Tsuyu's kind of there because she's pretty much the closest thing to the secondary female character that we have in the show. So that's how I'm like kind of working it out in my head. The team that doesn't have any of those 6 main characters, we instead have Tokoyami and Momo, 2 characters who like are pretty much right after the other 6 in terms of importance. In some ways, honestly, it feels like Momo's more important than Tsuyu, but Tsuyu gets a bit of Tsuyu gets unfair treatment from the author and pushes her forward. But anyway, not the point. So we have Momo and Tokoyami on the second team to make up for the lack of main characters on that team. Alright, so ideally there would be 5 fights here, right? 5 nice confrontations. Ideally, I would like it if each confrontation gets 2 chapters. Like this could be 1 chapter already for the first team. Give the other team, or like let them finish them up in the next chapter. That's 2 chapters for them, and then every other team gets 2 chapters roughly. I think that would be ideal. Then we'd be stuck in this mini arc for about 10, 11, 12 chapters roughly, depending on how much fallout or how much cleanup has to be done for it. I think that would be cool. I think that would be fine. The only thing is you'd be kind of having to sign up for 10 chapters of combat. But again, Class 1B is so underexplored. They kind of need this. That said, characters have been shafted before in Hero Academia, and that brings us back to Team 2. Team 2 has Tokoyami in it, and Tokoyami is the poster boy for doing things in the background. So what we could end up getting, we know that the first confrontation is going to be important because that's the confrontation that Shinzo is going to be featured in, and we know the 5th confrontation is going to be important because again Shinzo's featured in that confrontation. Not only that, Izuku's in it, and those 2 have like the author seems to be setting up some kind of weird importance with Izuku. You have him dealing with the vestiges, you have Izuku acknowledging that the vestiges started with Shinzo, you have this possibility that Izuku might be trying to figure out what to do with the vestiges, and the possibility that Shinzo might be there to help him out, or at least it could just be a nice little like callback to that whole event. But Izuku Shinzo rematch, we were getting the, I guess, confirmation that it's going to be relatively important, whether it be from Izuku acknowledging that things started with Shinzo, or whether it be Ochako acknowledging that this is a rematch for them. That one has the most narrative strength. Now, teams 4 and 3 have Bakugo and Todoroki in them. Those chapters, ideally it would be great if we got 2, but honestly what I could end up seeing is that the confrontation ends for the first battle ends in the next one, we get 2, and then it's possible 2, 3, and 4 all just get resolved in 2 chapters total. That would be the worst case scenario because that would just be too little time for too many characters. And then chapter 5 would probably get another 2 chapters, or sorry, battle 5 would probably get another 2 chapters on. That's the most pragmatic one. The most ideal one is that everyone gets a fair 2 chapters. So if we're going for the most pragmatic one, this thing is over in 5 chapters, roughly, which would suck. I mean, I want more time with the characters. Anyway, those are like my ideas for how this might go. What do you guys think? Do you guys think we're going to get a fair shake, or do you guys think we're going to get 1 chapter for each people, or 1.5 chapters for each? But aside from that, the other things of import are obviously Shinso, just his characterization and how he's dealing with things. One thing that we got from Shinso is that he is being extremely blunt and extremely rude, but luckily the rudeness is overshadowed by Bakugo, so we now know Bakugo's role in the class is to keep unity by making a common enemy that everyone else dislikes. I think that's a great way of keeping the harmony within a class. That said, I can't really fault Shinso for the way he's talking. He's got the loser's mentality on him. He needs to prove himself. He needs to do better. And so, yeah, I can't fault the kid. He's still got a lot of walls up around his heart. Hopefully Izuku will be able to break through them, just smash his way right through the walls and just get involved in his problems again. I think that'd be fine. Now when we went into the actual battle portion, and now that it's 6 minutes, I can put pictures up. When we went into the actual battle portion, one thing that I really enjoyed was seeing the behavior from 2 people who should have been more or less effective, that being Tsuyu and Kirishima. Now Kirishima's lines don't really sound as if they're coming from someone with experience, but he does give Kaminari really good advice. But Tsuyu was pretty on top of it with telling Shinso to give her the details of his quirk, or all the details of his quirk. You know, the initial kind of response to that would be, hey, I shouldn't have to tell you my quirks if I'm going to be fighting you, but since they're in a heroic situation, knowing what your partner can do in a fight is probably the better thing. So for Tsuyu, that was just a good show of something that you could say is a lot of good experience coming from the past, a lot of good experience that she got from the internship. So I really like that level of, well, that level of forward thinking. And it's not really a big deal, right? It's just something they do. Not too much of a big deal, but it was pretty cool to see. Kirishima had his little thing about, you know, just questioning Kaminari about what he would do if he was going off by himself. Cool stuff. Anyway, once the fight gets started, we of course get to see what the value of this arc is going to be, and we see that, you know, just class 1B doing stuff, and we get to see their quirk. And I didn't think that the beast guy would turn more into a beast. I thought that was hilarious. So that was pretty cool. And then we get revealed Shinso's trick, or specifically the purpose of that mask, and that mask is pretty freaking neat. Now in terms of the tool, I do wonder how it works. I got 2 ideas, and you know, it's just, we're pretty much talking about fake technology, but bear with me. Either Shinso has to tune the mask himself, so he has to tune the voice himself, in which case it means that Shinso probably had to go to some music lessons to train his ears to be able to tell like the key of someone's voice, or the pitch, or the frequency. Maybe he had to go do some lessons. And is that important? No, not really. It just gives you some extra trivia, you know, in the same way that Momo had to get extra knowledge to know the molecular compounds, or like the molecular structure of the various things she makes. Shinso had to collect knowledge to be able to tell the pitch of someone's voice, right? That'd be the equivalent. It'd just be something really cool to put on the character and say like, oh yeah, this is pretty neat that he can do this. This feels pretty good. On the flip side, you could have a totally technologically automated system, that being that the mask itself has like a mini computer chip inside of it. Very possible. Like, we already have that level of technology now. The chip listens in on what's going on, and then it pretty much just auto-tunes it itself. So one option makes it a little bit more cool for Shinso because he's doing more to make it work. The other option automates it, which is, it's alright. You know, it's like whatever technology. I really like if he was doing it more, because that's more impressive on Shinso's part. Now let's talk about quirks in general, because aside from that, Shinso's trick there was pretty cool, but there were some like quirks showcased, and we got it from the kid with the air barrier, and I thought the air barrier was a pretty neat little trick. He isolates Koda inside of a soundproof wall. pretty neat, pretty freaking neat. I do wonder, I had one question about it, but I think the science works out. If he has a space, if he has a vacuum between the walls, then there's no way that sound can come out through the vacuum, because you need to shake the particles in the air to be able to make sound. So that was really neat. That said, Koda should still be able to speak into the ground. I think Concrete should be able to carry the vibrations of his voice slightly. That said, I wouldn't expect that kind of thing to come out. Another thing about the quirks was that in this chapter, someone made the mistake of saying that Caminati can't fire off his electricity in an area where all his allies are. No, we've seen that exact reasoning turned on its head during the provisional license. Caminari can possibly shock someone. And another thing was that All Might said that Class 1B on paper has grown more. Yeah, okay, like I'm just gonna point out that's totally possible, but there are some people that I don't think Class 1B can like overcome right now in terms of experience, and that some of those people are people like Suyu, and Izuku obviously, but I don't think they're going to be able to overcome everyone in Class 1B. I think it's going to be the weak links that ultimately unravel the teams. That said, this kind of calls back to like what All Might told Bakugo one time about Izuku. Like, if you're at level 50, of course you're going to be growing slower than the people at level 1. And I think that's exactly what's happening here. Yeah, maybe Class 1B has better growth on paper, but it might just be because Class 1A was already so far ahead of them. And there is some people in Class 1A that definitely seem to fit the criteria of these people are really far ahead of everyone else. So I am excited to see how this goes, because this will have a lot to say about both classes by the end of it. But anyway guys, gonna call it there. Let me know what you think down below, and until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.